Tug along with the Sunday crew. Geeking out is what we do. Giggle on, it's gonna be great. Don't be late, let's celebrate. Science fiction on a screen so bright. Old classics and the new delights. The unapologetic geek will lead the way, with facts and fun to fill your day. Discussing every detail, every frame, from the eerie to the loud and the tame. Giggle along with all that's great. Those Sunday vibes you can't debate. Tug along with the Sunday crew. Geeking out is what we do. Giggle on, it's gonna be great. Don't be late, let's celebrate.
Hello and welcome to Tug Chat.
Greetings from South Carolina.
I was waiting for him to say it.
Hello from Florida.
That's my trademark.
So, yeah, we're going to keep talking about anthology movies like we did last week. And you will notice that Thrash looks very different today.
I'm dying.
Are you sick, Thrash? What's going on here?
I got in all the trouble to wear my Thrash Pondo Pine shirt, and he don't.
I know, and I'm all prepared to talk about a movie that has a segment with a zombie apocalypse taken from the zombie's point of view and everything. Let's see. We got Mike Silva in the chat. Greetings,
Hello.
Mike. We got Texas Knight. Always good to see you. Channel
afternoon.
member, Texas Knight. Vim Vanderstraten. Always good to see you as well. Just Carowin. Sarah is, of course, in the chat.
She's everywhere.
Yes, she
Hello,
is
Greetings,
everywhere.
Sarah.
What's up, Sarah?
She was here last week, so we know what her picks were. Sarah's saying she wishes you feel better, Tracy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I hope
Me
you
too.
get better soon.
And speaking of which, Damien, I hope you also feel better.
Yeah, just got to
Exactly.
get this out of my head.
Okay, well, is there anything anybody wants to say before we get started?
Yeah, it's just a rare thing that I'm the one that feels good.
Yeah.
It's usually everybody else feels good, and I feel like crap. But I'm doing okay right now.
You
Not so
did
much
that last night.
morning, but okay right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just all full of goo. It's
No,
not
thanks
fun.
for sharing.
Yeah, you're welcome. Would you like some? I can mail you some. I got some dirty snot rags. I'm currently going to sell online to any of my fans. You know.
And the part of Slimer will now be played by Damien.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I was thinking of that like jar of goo from Ghostbusters 2.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm
You know-
glad we're on YouTube and not in person. I don't want to get slimed.
Yeah,
Yeah, me
exactly. I rarely take off work. I took off 2 days this week because I didn't
Oh
want
my
to get anybody else
goodness.
sick.
I'm
So
sorry.
yeah.
Damien,
I
sounds
know
like
you've been on
you
took off the
rubber
last
cement
12
on.
years.
Sound like what, Tracy?
Rubber cement.
Yes, rubber
Wait,
cement.
so-
Basically, what's up there? Yeah.
When I was in high school and I was in journalism and I was in the newspaper and stuff, and like we had rubber cement everywhere, and I used to like take a jar of it and like put it on this thing and then
Yeah.
and, like throw it at people. Yeah.
Awesome.
We used to bounce it. We used to make balls out.
Oh yeah, the bouncy
Mhm.
balls
Yep.
out of rubber
Yep.
cement. Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Those are great.
Rubber
Damien
cement's
Archer,
awesome.
You know.
Hello,
Oh.
Andy. The stuff.
Woohoo. And just Kerwin, how are you?
Okay, so because this is a completely different panel from last week, it's okay if we repeat ourselves. I just want to say that ahead of time in case
Hmm.
anybody picks a movie that we talked about last week. It's totally fine. I don't
Oh,
care.
now you tell me that.
But I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to talk about one we didn't talk about last week. That was brought up in the chat, but I kind of like skirted around it because I knew I wanted to talk about it, and that's Cat's Eye.
Yeah.
The Stephen King. I think there's stories from Night Shift. I think.
Yep.
Yeah. This was okay when I was a kid. We'd get those HBO free weekends, and we would just tape everything. And a couple of the movies that are on this list are actually movies I taped off of HBO on my VHS VCR.
Yes. Did you have it on super long play where you get like
yeah, where you
them
can get six, so you get 3 movies on there? Yeah.
Horrible quality. The sound was all off, and everything kind of had that kind of crackly haze to it. But yeah,
totally. Yes.
Yeah, loved it. Quality didn't matter in the 80s.
And for some of these movies, it actually works really well. Cat's Eye kind of works. It's okay. I remember I was really obsessed with the last part of the anthology in Cat's Eye, which is about the general Drew Barrymore, and that troll that comes out of the wall, and he's got the hat with the stupid bells on it, and the cat
danger gnome.
Right. Danger gnome.
Wow.
I don't know, like I wasn't scared of the troll. I was just fascinated. Like, what is the troll doing? I mean, it's creepy, and as an adult, it's extra creepy.
Just a little bit pedo in there,
and it's based off of the old wives' tale about cats stealing the breath of children and stuff. But it's actually this troll. The cat's been framed by the troll.
Yeah.
But also,
ow, mother.
Speaking of the cat,
scratch the crap out of it. I am not part of the furniture, cat. Jeez. He heard you talking about him. He's like, I'm here to protect you from the trolls in the wall.
Oh, and according to Vim, that one, the general, was written specifically for the movie. Okay.
I was actually going to bring that up in a minute, but yeah.
Oh, okay. My chat's always on top of these things.
Yeah. Did my research this time.
Hello, Watchman. But I also really did like the first 2 stories. Even as a kid, I thought they were funny more than scary. Especially Quitters Inc. with the cigarettes. The guy like pulls all the cigarettes and puts them on the table and starts smashing them. As a kid, I thought that was hysterical. I thought that was the funniest thing ever. And maybe this says something about me, but like the scene where they're like torturing the person in the cage with the electric shocks and everything. I thought that was funny. Is there something wrong with me?
I didn't like it when they did it to the cat, but
I didn't like it when they did it with the cat. That scared me. Yeah. I do know.
Interesting factoid is they actually didn't electrocute the cat. They just
hope not.
They just sprayed it with compressed air and it scared it. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they told you.
Huh?
I said that's what they told you.
Maybe. Don't listen to more.
Sorry. No. But no, like any movie where like the gimmick is an animal, like that's hard to do, especially back before CG when you can fix things. Like you got and cats, especially. How do you train a cat? So like, I don't know. Like I haven't done any research behind the scenes making of Cat's Eye. I just remember being fascinated by that aspect of it. Even as a kid, I was fascinated by how movies are made more than just the movies themselves.
I think they said they had like, was it 12 cats? Or maybe it was like 8 cats or something. They had a bunch of cats that all looked the same that they used for that part.
I've seen a bunch of movies with cats, and so I know it's possible to train a cat to do some stuff.
Yeah, they got the cat to do what they wanted to with food, but the thing is after a certain number of takes, the cat would get full, so they switched to another cat. So that's why they had so many.
And cats are perfect for horror stories, but the cat in Cat's Eye is not scary at all. The cat in Cat's Eye is cute. I think the best horror cat in cinema is Pet Sematary Church. That cat scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, that was a scary cat.
Yeah.
I like my cats a little more friendlier. Like Garfield.
And James Woods, he was the one in the Quitters Inc. segment. Yeah.
I love that part where he's at the party and the guy's like, he's looking around, everybody's smoking cigarettes, and it gets worse and worse and worse until it's
like the one with
almost this hallucination.
Yeah,
it's got smoke coming out. His buddy's like offering him a smoke, and he's got smoke coming out of his ears. He's got like 10 cigarettes in his hands, and he's smoking them all at once. It's like, oh my god!
Yeah, we see you, Dad.
There's 2 kids at the punch bowl smoking cigarettes and ashing in the punch bowl. I was just like, oh my god!
As somebody who did have to quit smoking multiple times, like I know that feeling. That's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah, I've been there, done that. That was never. Yeah.
And
my mama didn't raise no quitters. I was raised never to give up, never to quit.
When I was a smoker, I used to like finish off every cigarette and say, "Yeah, I just quit. I'll do it again. You want to see me quit
again after the next one?" Yeah.
I'm anti-establishment. I'm endeavoring to smoke just a little more these days.
I don't mind it. I actually like the smell. It's just I had to quit for my health more than anything else.
I like pipe smell.
Oh yeah,
pipes smell really good. Yeah.
My dad used to smoke a pipe, so I always associate it with like this, good homey feeling of my dad. We'd go on camping trips. He was our scoutmaster, and he would just sit in his tent smoking a pipe, and man, that's peaceful. That's great.
That depends on what's in the pipe.
Both of my grandfathers smoked pipes, and like my one grandfather would only smoke a pipe when he's out like fishing or hunting or something, and so when we'd go out with him, he'd always be out there on the boat with a pipe and the little aluminum boat on the lake. And my other grandfather would smoke a pipe after dinner every night, and so when we were over there, he'd go into the den and pack up his little pipe with, I guess it was like cherry or something tobacco, and fill the whole room with that smell. It was always wonderful. But
yeah, my stepdad smoked a pipe. He had that great big old Sherlock Holmes thing.
Yeah, so did my dad.
He had that really good smelling tobacco. My older brothers had pipes too, but their tobacco smelled different.
Tolerant murder fluffies. I like that. Greetings, Roger. And Rage Grifter. I mean, that's an appropriate name for the internet.
When I think about the movie Cat's Eye, it makes me feel kind of old.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that movie in theaters and thinking about Drew Barrymore, that little girl and everything. And then years later, Drew Barrymore was one of Charlie's Angels. And I was thinking, God, I'm feeling pretty old. And then I saw Drew Barrymore last week on a talk show, and now she's an old lady. And now
she's old now. Yeah.
Now I really feel real old.
Yeah. How old is she now? She's a little older than us, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a couple years older.
Yeah.
She's 50 years old.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. 50's around the corner. God.
Oh, stop that. My brother just told me he's about to become a grandfather. And I'm like, no, I'm not ready for that.
No. That's going to make you Uncle Tug.
Exactly. A great uncle.
The fun uncle.
I was 35 when my son made me a grandpa the first time.
You were a young grandpa.
Yeah, I was a young dad. So.
On the plus side, I can tell my brother, I can call my brother Gramps now, and it'll annoy the crap out of him. That's what siblings do.
What's up, old man?
But also, what was the other segment? The ledge, where he has to like walk around the ledge in the casino. The only thing I really vividly remember about that is the pigeons pecking at his like feet, and you see like the blood stains coming through his socks and stuff.
I loved the part where he kicks the pigeon though. That was just so funny.
When he kicks the pigeon.
Yeah.
Oh. How do you like that? Feathers. Oh.
Well, good night, Rage Grifter. Good to see you. 1:15.
Wow.
Where are you? So anyway, anybody else have anything to say about Cat's Eye? I just remember really liking it as a kid and watching it over and over again.
I liked it. It was a good movie. The whole
I didn't hate Cat's Eye. Like I said, it's one of the movies that has one really great segment and a couple other not so great segments, which is the story of anthology movies. You get one really good one and usually 3 or 4 pieces of crap.
Yeah, usually that's the case. Yeah. There's usually one good one terrible one, and a bunch of mediocre ones.
If you even get lucky enough to have the mediocre ones.
Yeah. What I found interesting was they on the troll scene, they actually didn't like put like an actor in a troll suit and then like try to mat them over an actual size bed. They actually made the sets huge, and the troll is actually climbing up like the blanket at one point. That's a giant blanket on a giant bed, and those are giant chairs. Yeah, they actually built this huge bedroom and put a little person in a suit and had them run around and do all that stuff. So I thought that was neat.
That's what makes it so much better than modern day CGI garbage.
Yeah, but even back then, like in the early 80s, they would have composited it, and it would have looked like crap. You would have seen the matte lines and everything. But
you gotta remember they used that same technology back in them old black and white movies about like the one about the man who shrank down.
Yeah, the Incredible Shrinking Man. Yeah, they did that. They built like a giant matchbox and stuff. Yeah.
You can even tell that it's where it is composited when you watch it, because it's like Drew Barrymore's there sleeping and he pulls the blanket back, and you can kind of see the line at the blanket between her and between the main scene and the composited scene composited part that's added.
Well, because it's all like memories from my childhood, it's all perfect. Like I don't see that.
You didn't watch it recently? I watched it.
No, I didn't watch it recently.
Yeah, and it's still 100 times better than that Hellboy movie where you can see where his tail's not even attached with CGI.
Oh, that's so true.
Dan keeps complaining that I bring him on here to talk about things he doesn't like, but he's so entertaining. You got to be less entertaining, and maybe I'll bring you on for something else.
Pretty easy because I hate most things anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it means so much.
Anything. I pretty much hate any movie made after 2019 for sure. And I haven't seen too many things I really liked.
Yes, since 2019, I could probably name the number of good movies that have come out in like one hand. So
yeah, exactly.
One.
There's been movies I like some stuff about, but didn't particularly like the movie or the actor or whatever.
Mostly the only thing that's really coming to my mind are like there's been some really good horror movies, but that's about it. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention about Cat's Eye is all the little in jokes, the little like Stephen King references.
Yeah,
like you get the Christine car and you get Cujo and stuff like that. I thought that was fun. I even caught those as a kid, and I thought they were fun. So.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. There was a couple others in there too, like when he's on the balcony for the ledge one, where he said something about you get the money, you get the girl, you get the gold watch,
the girl,
you get everything.
Gold watch and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I caught that one. I was like, yeah, that's cool.
I caught that one as a kid because that was actually on the very first VHS tape we had. It was the pirate movie, the girl, the gold watch, and everything, and Dr. No.
Yeah.
What a collection.
Yeah.
Very diverse.
Yep.
That was
watch those all the way through.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Although as a kid, I thought Dr. No was boring. I don't anymore, but I did when I was a kid. Okay, so Danny, tell us a story about an anthology movie.
Well, I don't know if I can really tell you a story about an anthology movie, but I can tell you what to me my favorite anthology movie is, and of course that would be from my comic book past. You know, I have a channel called That Comic Book Guy, and I feature a lot of stuff to do with comic books, and I've always been a comic book guy, a comic book collector. And, you know, I'm going to pick a movie that
nice.
Very nice.
A Creepshow comic book right here. And I always especially like Creepshow more than probably any other anthology movie ever made. And of course, that would be probably because of The Crate.
The Crate.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
Good.
Oh, that's great.
Of all the short stories
in
every anthology movie ever made is my favorite short story. And another reason to pick Creepshow is the other stories aren't that horrible. They're actually pretty good, especially the one with Ted Danson.
And Leslie Nielsen. Yeah.
The whole zombie come back from the dead thing's pretty cool. The one I didn't like too much was the bug thing.
Yeah, that one's kind of creepy. Yeah.
No, man, I'm not a bug guy. I don't like bugs.
Yeah.
So it was good, but it actually bothered me on a level that made my skin crawl itchy kind of feeling. And I guess
well, they go inside him. It's like, ugh.
And I guess that's what a good movie's supposed to do, make your skin crawl sometimes. And that's the one anthology movie that I would pick that all the stories were good, and I can't really criticize it too much at all. So that's my number one anthology pick, dude.
No, and like I really liked. I mean, The Crate is obviously the best one.
I got a prop.
Yeah,
you prop.
You did bring a prop. That's awesome. I don't even have any screenshots today. So
well, tell me how very chance that was of me.
I remember it was Creepshow and The Poseidon Adventure that got me to realize that Leslie Nielsen was more than just the guy from The Naked Gun, you know. And then I went through his whole back catalog and Forbidden Planet, obviously.
Yeah. I was the Forbidden Planet guy, so when he started doing these comedies, I was like, why is like this serious captain guy from science fiction doing comedy now?
Here's the thing: I had seen.
And my mom looked at me and said, "Well, he got old, son."
Yeah, I mean, I had seen Forbidden Planet. I never put two and two together. I didn't realize that was Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, these little things called credits.
I was a kid, man.
I always read the credits when I was a kid because I guess I was bored. But I knew who that guy Agar was from the time I could walk.
Well, you know, my family at a certain point, whenever we'd watch a movie, it would always turn into a game of where do I know that guy from? You know.
Yeah.
That always happened to me with Ron Howard's brother.
Clint.
Oh, Clint. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Howard, he'd show up and something like, oh, wait a minute.
Pops up all the time. Yeah. He's even in Star Trek.
It takes me forever to place him.
He's been a lot.
But in Creepshow, he's Leslie Nielsen, he's a very convincing psychopath. Like,
yeah, he is.
He's scary.
And I think he should do a lot more roles like that instead of all that comedy stuff, but that's just me.
I mean, he just went where the money was, and can't blame him for that. It's kind of like Vincent Price also went where the money was. He didn't like horror movies when he started.
You know, I saw an interview with him where he said he didn't even watch his own movies.
No, he wasn't a big fan. But he was so good at it, you know? Anyway, we'll circle back to Creepshow because I'm not quite done.
Good movie. Yes, very.
You're gonna drop a Creepshow bomb on us later.
Yeah.
He's gonna be creeping.
Now it's your turn.
Who, mine?
Yeah, you.
Okay. Oh, I am gonna start with the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Nice.
Oh God.
I watched this specifically because I knew you were going to be on this panel.
I love that movie. It's a very good Western anthology, and every single story has its own style to it. It's like the first one's basically a musical, and you know, comedy musical kind of thing, about Buster Scruggs, the gunslinger who's like the fastest gun in the West until he meets a faster gun, and lots of singing going on. It's a fun, you know, little story. And then you know, then you got the bank robber one, which is next, you know, near Al Gadoons or whatever it's called.
That one's the one that became a meme. Yeah.
And the guy gets hung twice in it. It's great. I'm trying not to put too many spoilers in here, but if you haven't seen it, you should really watch it.
Oh, you ain't gonna spoil it, so I ain't gonna mention that crappy ending.
Well, you know, is what it is. You know, then you got Meal Ticket, which is, you know, yeah, that one's the one that is the most disturbing, if you ask me, just the way that goes down in the end. But you know, you got the impresario and the artist, you know, traveling, trying to make money, blah, blah, blah. Things do not end well. So,
I think that one messes you up the most because like it follows the first two, and the first two are basically more comedic.
Yeah, they're funny. Yeah.
And then this third one is like gut punch.
Ping, pan shot.
Pan shot.
I love that part.
That's Stephen Root too.
Yeah, that's great. And my favorite of them all is All Gold Canyon, where you got who played that role?
Tom Waits.
Tom Waits, that's right. Yeah, Tom Waits. He goes and he's a prospector, finds an untouched, beautiful, pristine valley, and, looking for gold, and just like, he's talking to himself at different times. It's got its own little funny wit to it, and then it's got that little twist, and things don't go well, and then it's all better again. And just at the end, when the valley returns to normal, like the butterflies come back and the minnows come back to the stream, and it's like just like he goes away and everything's back to the way it was.
Yeah, that one feels like a tone poem, basically. Yeah,
and kind of.
Before I watched it, I never fully understood how panning for gold works, but now I do. So,
well, that's at least how he did it.
Yeah.
Who knows if that's how like actual prospectors were doing it? But maybe they looked into it first. I don't know. But
I don't know.
He had an interesting way of zeroing in on the Mr. Pocket, as he said. I'm gonna find you, Mr. Pocket. But anyway, and then moving on into the next section, which was the gal who got rattled, and that's a story about pioneers, in the Conestoga wagons with the oxen, like the Oregon Trail kind of thing. It's like, it would have been great if they had made it like, at the end and you died of dysentery, instead of with the screen. But anyway, I thought that would have been funny. But I mean, her brother does kind of die of something. He died of dysentery, I guess, on the or something.
It was
probably cholera or something, but
I think they said cholera, but it could have been anything.
Yeah, he probably had a really bad flu.
You picked one that I'm 50-50 on.
Hey, Thrash.
Welcome, sir.
Was done a lot faster than I thought I was. Made it home. But you guys, for one more, I'd love to join.
Yeah, sure. I'll just put you. Let me shuffle things around here to get everybody in order. There we go. All right. You'll come on after
Excellent.
Tracy. We haven't even gotten to you yet, so you're fine.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Let me say one thing real quick about that movie. He's talking about Buster Scruggs.
It's not quite done yet.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm 50-50 on that movie.
50-50. Okay.
The bad part is I can't stand the musical numbers in it. I hate the singing part, and the ending of it made me want to throw up. But other than that, it's probably one of the best Western comedy movies ever created.
Mm-hmm.
So 50-50 on that one.
Yeah, it's definitely got, the whole thing has an element of comedy in it, with exception of maybe Meal Ticket.
Come on! I watched the clip yesterday where he's got the mirror shooting the guy's face.
Yeah, I love that.
Wait,
yeah,
a couple of them are. I mean, that first one is downright screwball. I mean,
yeah, yeah. But they all have a bit of comedy in them, with exception of maybe Meal Ticket. That one's not funny at all, if you ask me. There's no funny in that at all, except for maybe the part where, what's his name? Liam Neeson is singing on the next to the fire and just drunk off his butt kind of thing. But I thought that was kind of funny. But Liam Neeson singing is funny in and of itself, I guess. But
anyway, the whole thing is a Coen Brothers. It's got that Coen Brothers feel to it.
Yeah, a little bit twisted in places. And then the last one's The Mortal Remains, where they're all in a stagecoach with a dead body on the roof, going to Fort wherever it was, Fort Morgan, I guess. And they got a whole group of people in that stagecoach that are all way different folks and all have their own little takes on things. And it's kind of an interesting little character study in and of itself. And then they talk about, there's a little bit of singing in that one too. And they talk about the dead body on the roof at one point.
Terror of Tiny Town.
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
That's a very
There's a possible exception of all the garbage music in it.
Yeah.
It won a Golden Turkey for the most exploitative film of all time.
What, her Tiny Town?
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
I could see.
I came up with the concept of a Western where everyone was visually impaired and called it Blind Man's Gulch. It never came to fruition.
That's great. I love it.
Thank
awesome.
you. I was a sick kid. I really was. A sick adult now too.
We've all come up with some pretty sick film ideas. Some braided in ways that, anyway.
I tried to make a student film called Jurassic Christ, where they cloned Jesus from the Shroud of Turin. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I can hear.
Twilight Zone episode or something.
What?
Wasn't that already a Twilight Zone episode?
Not that I know of.
I've seen an episode of something where they tried to clone Jesus from the Shroud of Turin, and he come back like the Antichrist or something.
Oh, God.
I'm not familiar with that.
It was a double feature with the Martian Chronicles story you saw.
Might be trash. No.
But getting back to Buster Scruggs, I really like this movie because it's kind of like you said, every vignette is very different tonally. Like it shouldn't work. It should feel like it's all over the place, but it really does work. I don't know if it's because it's the Coen brothers and they managed to infuse that unique style of theirs into everything, so it all kind of blends together. But also it kind of feels like each one is like a snapshot, like a what am I trying to say? Like a Cliff Notes version of a Western.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What is that?
Can I read something real quick right here for Thrash?
Please go for it.
The Shroud, an episode of The Outer Limits from 1999, where they take the DNA from the Shroud to create a child intended to be the second coming, which does not go very well.
You say 99? They stole that idea from me. My idea came first.
Outer Limits.
My idea came from 1997. So,
I told you I've seen it though. Don't.
I believe you.
That's
like me saying
I'm
giving you a hard time.
You had to bring that up, didn't you? You just had to.
Yes, I did. I'm sorry. It's part of my boyish charm, Daddy. Love you. I'm just joking you.
Now I have a headache again. It's been the rest of the day searching for old TV shows.
I sketched a concept for the Burj Dubai, the tallest building in the world, in 1994, long before it was ever a concept in any architect's mind. So I don't know if there's like, collective unconscious going on or something, but that was my design. I designed it years ago. Anyway, so I'm the designer of the Burj Dubai, apparently, but
I think I'm going to inspire people by putting a cash reward on whoever comes up with that episode title or the show it was on.
Mm-hmm.
So I can find out. I bet if I put a money reward on it, people would look.
Can't hurt.
Little James Randy $1 Million Challenge.
I believe there's still a cash reward to anybody who can disprove anything said by Ripley's Believe It or Not, and they have yet to pay out.
That's pretty cool.
Oh.
That is cool.
Anyway, yeah, Buster Scruggs, fantastic movie, and I know Danny apparently doesn't like it, but I really love that last segment because it kind of feels like a allegory for something, for death.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. It's
Very cool.
You stole one of my props.
Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah. And also, the actors in it are amazing. All of them.
Oh, yeah.
That last one you've got Tyne Daly, you've got what's his name?
John Joe O'Neill,
Brendan Gleeson, and who's the French guy? Like the actor's not French, but
no, Saul Rubinek.
Yeah, Saul Rubinek. He's really good.
Yeah.
He almost is playing Poirot, which is kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. And who was the old prospector guy? Who played him?
I don't remember.
The mountain man or whatever he was.
I didn't recognize him under all the grit, so
yeah,
he was good though.
I'm looking at the actors right now, trying to see if I can recognize him, but he looks so different.
Oh, that's how you know all the names are cheating. Okay. I was all impressed. You knew all these people. I didn't know you had a computer screen beside you. I should do that.
I got dual monitors here, man. I am not that smart, seriously.
We can't all be indie, okay?
Yeah, I don't remember all of this stuff. I just there it is. Cecil Ross or Chelsea Ross, sorry, played the Trapper.
No idea.
Yeah,
he's good.
That's his voice though. That is right. Yeah, that's him for sure.
Cool.
Am I my Trapper's keeper?
Wow.
Did you get that joke from Corey's Comedy Channel?
It's the best I can do on such short notice.
I loved Clancy Brown when he played Curly Joe.
I was sad that he wasn't in
song.
more of the movie, but yeah.
Yeah. It was such a short little segment, but it was like, yeah, he's the perfect bad guy, you know. So
the perfect
anyway.
evil gambler who's
Yeah.
probably cheating. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And the perfect Mr. Krabs. That blew my mind when I found out that was actually him.
Money.
That's Mr. Krabs?
Yeah, Clancy Brown is Mr.
That.
Krabs. You didn't
Oh
know
my
that?
God. I didn't know that. Holy moly. That makes
I always
perfect
call
sense,
him
though.
Mr. Krabs.
And his daughter is actually married to Tom Kenny in real life.
That's true.
Really?
Yeah. They were on a sketch variety show like 30 years ago. That's where they met. But yeah.
I met
That's all.
Squidward, Roger Bumpus. I met him. He's fun. He's been around a long time. You'll see him in a lot of like 80s movies, just in the background as like an extra or like a voice, like a radio voice or something. He was all over the place. He's been around, you know. It's not just Squidward.
I just saw Indy's little comment over there. No, I did not account for Tom Cruise climbing in my blueprints, but that would have been interesting. But...
Oh, bye, Wash. Thanks for dropping
Take
by.
care, Wedge. Hello, goodbye.
Okay, so unless anybody has anything else to say about Buster Scruggs, but
just that it's a great movie, and if you
it's a
haven't
great
seen
movie
it,
and
you
I
should
really
watch
liked
it. Yeah, you should.
Damien
watch
was
it.
100% correct about it last time he brought it up.
Yeah, I've brought it up like 3 different times now.
I finally watched it.
Yeah,
okay?
I'm glad you did.
Danny can attest. It takes me a while, but I will eventually.
Oh, no, I get it.
That movie a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, I don't hate the movie, but I do fast forward through the singing part.
You don't like the Curly Joe song? Come on,
I don't like none
Curly
of
Joe.
Not one drop.
The only singing is in like the first and the last one.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the Prospector sings too, but it's not
Yeah.
like
You know, I love the movie Blazing Saddles, but I'm not real fond of the music in it neither.
okay.
You know, same here. I'm not a big fan of the music in Blazing Saddles either, but I do love the movie. So
I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of music in movies at all. And after,
so you're not a musical fan.
And after seeing Joker 2, if I never hear a song in a movie, I'll be absolutely happy.
Another little fun fact: Mel Brooks wrote the music for Blazing Saddles 2. Oh, as well.
It's like, wait, Blazing Saddles 2? What are you talking about?
As well.
Or you
As
know,
well.
and Mel Brooks is not a good songwriter.
I disagree. Springtime for Hitler is fantastic.
No.
That was the best.
Are all them horrible
Oh,
music
I'm
numbers
still
in History of the World? Come on, no. And do you count History of the World as an anthology movie?
Yeah, we talked about it last week. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
It is definitely, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have to talk about it this week. Okay, move on.
Yeah, so there's no point in talking
We
about
can, like I said, I don't care.
Oh,
if
we
you
don't
repeat.
have to. We can move on.
Yeah. Let's move on. We got
Okay, Tracy, your
Yeah.
turn.
Tracy's turn.
I don't know if this is an anthology or not, but I really fell in love with The Stand. You know, the Stephen King.
Well, I mean, kind of an anthology because you're following so many different characters who are all doing their own thing.
I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, until we actually got COVID. I mean,
In my book,
never
I
thought
qualify
would
that
get-
as a miniseries.
Yeah. You see, I like stuff like that, though. I like stuff that talks about people's lives and things and how life changes in the aftermath of that, you know, that virus that was put on by so-called devil. You know, I thought it was pretty interesting myself. But yeah, I like that a lot.
That was the first time I'd ever seen Gary Sinise. He's really good in it.
I have to say, I love that. So you picked something I will not criticize one little bit because I actually love that movie.
No, The Stand was absolutely amazing. I think it was like American television at its best.
Well, I actually like the book even better, but
No,
Now, of all the Stephen King miniseries, and there was like a plague of them in the late 80s, early 90s, I think it's my favorite.
Yeah.
I think it's the
I can
best.
say that too.
Yeah.
And as we've discussed at some length, Stephen King does not loan himself well to the visual arts because so much of the story is what's going on in
your
the
head.
characters' heads.
Mm.
And since you can't see in their heads, it's lost. Like Cujo, the book was amazing. The movie was you know. So I mean, there are some exceptions. Don't get me wrong, but like I thought Misery, they did a very nice job. Although again, book better than movie. But The Stand, they really did an amazing job adapting the human drama, which is, as Tracy, as you put it, it's what it is. It's the sort of the evolution of the characters, particularly because we see them before, during, and after the event. So you really feel enfranchised in the character development.
As far as I'm concerned, the Stand would be in my top 5 Stephen King movie adaptations out there, and would be probably the number 1 miniseries with a tie for maybe Salem's Lot.
Yeah, I didn't think about Salem's Lot, but you're right.
Yeah, Salem's Lot's just as good as any miniseries ever made.
And it technically is a miniseries. It's just 2 episodes, but yeah.
I like a lot of that. I like that because they had a lot of suspense in it, and I'm one of these people like more suspense than I do actually, head chopper offers. But I think the suspense thing really really plays with your mind a bit, because like if you're sitting there, you're watching it, or like a VC Andrews, and you see like 4 plots dug out for the kids, it kind of makes it makes your mind go crazy. It's even worse than seeing some slash, because at least you see that. But I mean, you kind of use your imagination, as it were.
No, and I think that's why Stephen King was or still is, such a successful horror writer, because that's what he focuses on. He focuses on the psychology of it. He focuses on the people, the characters. As misanthropic as he is, he still manages to make it a human story. Like every story, no matter how outrageous or how violent or terrible or horrifying, it's always about, the human side of the equation. And I think, yeah, that's probably the most positive thing I've ever said about Stephen King on this channel. So.
Well, you're finally going to tell us, since we're talking about Stephen King, what you thought of The Night Flyer, the movie I suggested you watch.
Yes, I loved it, actually. I was surprised. I was genuinely surprised. It's very low budget, but it feels like a TV movie, because it kind of is. But man, Miguel Ferrer as like this jaded National Enquirer type reporter on the hunt, trailing down some vampire, is pretty cool. And it's really worked so well. And the whole thing is kind of like this mental mind that like, it's really good. It's a really, really good movie, and I highly recommend it. Danny was absolutely right to recommend it to me. And as with Damien and Buster Scruggs, it took a couple of months, but I got there. I watched it.
You know what I always thought when I saw that movie? If you change that guy's name to Carl Kolchak and you let him stake that vampire out at the end of the movie, it would have made a good series.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
The Night Flyer, would have become the new pilot for the Night Stalker new series, with that guy playing the Kolchak character, and I think it would have worked so well.
Well, but again, with King, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just with the Night Flyer, like there was all that build up. Like it feels like the slow burn, and you're not really sure where it's gonna go. You expect it's going to end with a vampire, obviously, but you don't expect when he walks into that airport at the end, during the climax, and it's just like a massacre. There's like dead bodies and blood everywhere. That's the
one little part I thought might have been slightly overdone.
It was a bit too much, yeah.
But it worked. It worked.
But it worked.
Wow.
The funny thing, Stephen King has written. He's written so many short stories that I think you could actually have your own anthology series on the works of Stephen King and make it work. And if you think of some of the times he actually has had adaptations. Grandma, I think, is one of the scariest one-shot short stories ever made. That was the one, of course, he collaborated with your dad's friend, Harlan Ellison, Tracy. And that is like very... Oh, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
No, I said it was my dad's friend, not so much mine.
Yeah.
Oh no, I said your dad's friend. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're cool.
Yeah, and that is like something right out of Lovecraft. There was in Dark Room there was an adaptation of was it Siege of Huzuka whatever, where about the army men that go on a quest for revenge.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember. I don't remember the title. It's been years, but yeah, I know.
Siege of something or other. I forget. But Indy, where are you when I need you most? But it was actually excellent. It was really good. So oh yeah, me too, Kerwin. That scared the beat. I think I slept with the light on, and I was 17 when it came out. I still slept with the light on.
It scared the Bee Gees out of you, but you're still staying alive. I got you.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, Darlene Flugel was in it, by the way, and I had such a crush on her. But you could very easily do Stephen King short stories till the cows come home. In fact, didn't he write a story called The Cows Come Home?
But no, I mean, like I've always said, I criticize Stephen King as a novelist all the time. I'm kind of known for it among certain circles. To the point where in one of my literary groups they told me to stop talking about Stephen King. But as a short story writer, I think he's a master. I love his short stories. I think they are miles ahead of his novels. Yeah. And it's no coincidence we started this episode talking about Cat's Eye and Creepshow.
Yeah. So. Yeah. You know another author that has a shit ton of short stories that they should do an anthology about is like Isaac Asimov.
Yes.
So he's got a ton of short stories that he did years and years and years ago. And all of them stand on their own, or a lot of them stand on their own, but a lot of them also tie into like one series or another. And a lot of them are actually used to make some of the different series. So, you know.
No, like Isaac Asimov is one of the progenitors of the whole connected universe style of storytelling. Yeah. Even like later in his career, he would take stories that had nothing to do with each other, and he'd find a way to connect them that made kind of sense.
Yeah,
so it's pretty neat. Yeah.
Well, that's what Brian Aldiss did as well. But he would, or even Ray Bradbury. The Martian Chronicles is just a collection of stories that revolve around Mars exploration.
Yeah.
Aldous took a collection of his short stories that seemed to fit into a theme, and he would make a book out of it. You know, so he would have anthology novels, I guess you'd call them.
No, but like with Asimov, especially towards the very end of the Foundation series, where he's like tying in the Robot series and the Empire series, and he's making one grand narrative that covers like his entire writing career. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. For sure.
God, I should have brought the Asimov comics and novels.
I'm always down to talk about Asimov, but usually when I start talking about Asimov to people who like Asimov, I'll eventually bring up how much I like the Foundation TV series, and then I get excommunicated for liking it. So
it's not bad. They've done the best they can to adapt something that's, you know,
pretty unadaptable.
You know, something that's completely unadaptable. They've adapted, so they've done what they can. You know.
Isaac Asimov adapted comic books laying around in science fiction stuff.
Cool. I've never read an Isaac Asimov adapted comic book.
I'll see if I can bring them up. I don't remember what they are right now. I did not bring them out here.
Okay.
Anthology comics.
But yes, The Stand, very good.
Yes.
Don't think it qualifies as an anthology, but you can kind of squeeze it in there. That's fine.
You see, I didn't think it was, but I thought I'd take a chance.
Hey, it's fine. I brought you in last minute. You didn't prep, so it's fine.
You didn't have to study.
So, Thrash, what do you got?
I am going to do something out of character, and I'm going to bring up something very, very obscure.
Thank God.
Of course.
I got a limited list over here, and he's done took one.
This was actually, it was intended as a pilot in the sort of paranormal renaissance that took place in the 70s. This was actually going to be a show sort of in the spirit of One Step Beyond. And it was called Encounters with the Unknown. And what they did was they took 3 installments, put them together with a loose framing device of a presenter, of a narrator, sort of like your Robert Llewellyn type, and made it when you watch it, it feels more like a mockumentary than an actual horror anthology. And one of the cool things about it, well, two things. One, they present it to you as if it was legit, as if it was In Search Of, or something like that. So it has a nice, solid feel of authenticity. And also, while it suffers from what I'm going to describe as profound lack of budget, I mean, even for 70s TV, the budget wasn't great, you could tell. The stories are stand-up. The first one is called The Hexagon, which is about these college students who set their friend up in a prank. He gets killed, and the mother comes out of nowhere and puts a curse on them to get her revenge. And hilarity ensues. Another one is called The Darkness, which is sort of The Legend of Boggy Creek meets a Hellmouth. And the last one is The Girl on the Bridge, which, of course, I'm sure you guys are familiar with. It's an old urban legend about a young girl in the 1920s who elopes with her fiancé. Car goes off the road and into a river. They drowned. And what happens is people see this for years, for decades. Drivers by see a girl who looks in distress. She says, I have to get home. They take her home. And before they get to her house, she disappears. And then when you get to the house, they say, oh, that was our daughter. She died in 1925. She's been trying to get home for years, but she never makes it. And it's a really great story. So, which is why I'm sure they have to use it. But again, for 70s TV, this is really good. And for years, they used to release it on like late night TV or creature feature shows, that type of thing. And again, I wish it had actually gotten the budget to actually, much like the Dylan Hunt saga, to actually give it a shot for its own show. Because I've always found stuff like this tantalizing.
No, I remember it, actually. I saw it when I was a kid. I probably saw it on late night TV. Like, that's probably where I saw it, because I was a night owl as a kid. I would sleep during school and be up all night at home, usually watching late night TV.
Yeah, around here we had the PBS channel, and starting about 10 o'clock on a Sunday night for like 5 hours in a row, they'd show Night Galleries and Twilight Zones.
Oh, totally.
All these
Yeah.
Anthology shows from the 40s and 50s you never heard of.
But I remember Encounter with the Unknown. It creeped me out because I was young enough to believe that they were all based on a true story. You know, like when you're young and you actually believe that.
Well, it's presented to you like that too. Like I say, they make it seem like a documentary. It's
narrated by Rod Serling, and whenever Rod Serling tells you something, you believe it. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
Like all my favorite comic books come to life.
Yeah, it was fun.
I used to watch like Ripley's Believe It or Not show when I was a kid, and used to think that a lot of that stuff was, fully
Apparently
real.
it is.
According to them, it is. Yeah, exactly.
Again, they still haven't been able to disprove any of the stories, to my knowledge.
Okay.
They haven't been
I
must confess, they do take license with the stories. I guarantee you, they take certain license.
Absolutely.
For dramatic purposes, as they say.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure.
What used to get me was that Tales of the Unknown.
Mm.
Like I said, it was more psychological.
Oh, I remember that show. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, geez, creep me out.
Was that the one from the UK? Tales of the Unknown.
Oh, it's actually the one from America. They made an American version.
Okay, well, I always get that one confused with one that was from England, and the one from England for some reason. The English one was always even creepier to me. I'm not sure why, but it was. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that show always freaked me out because here it is. It's playing with my mind again,
I love the one about El Madrid. Did you ever see the one with El Madrid?
I think so.
That's
a
great.
while, but I think I remember
it's a merchant marine who deserts, and he's like stuck on this island and can't get off. So he decides he's going to mug this guy to get a few bucks, and he accidentally kills him. And he panics, and he goes to his friend who's a prostitute. He says, someone must be able to help me. And she goes, oh, yeah, go to El Madrid. And he spends the entire night trying to find this gangster, El Madrid. And he finally, after many trials and tribulations, finds the widow and says, well, El Madrid can't help you. Someone murdered him earlier today. And he's like, whack, whack, whack.
Yeah,
I'm not going to bring up no episode because then I'll have to go find it to prove it exists.
That's it. El Madrid fought the Martians.
Well, Snarky, I'm glad we're doing our part. But if you want more carpets to clean, I mean, mine could use some. So
I will search till I find it.
And by the way, Snark, I have an apology to you. You came on my show the other night, literally as I was hitting the end stream button, and I didn't even have a chance to say hello to you. I am so sorry. Thank you for making it, and I'm sorry I cut you off, but it was so nice of you to make it at the last moments of my show. Thank you.
Are you going to be on tonight, Crash?
I am going to be on tonight, my normal 7:30 time.
Cool.
Thank
I know
you.
you were on Friday.
You popped on Friday or something, and I missed everything because I didn't know you were going to do it.
I knew he was going to do it, but like I never got the notification and I forgot because it's Friday night. So I'm sorry I missed it too.
Well, you guys don't get hall passes, so don't worry. But I'll see you guys tonight, definitely.
Yes.
50-50.
But anyway, I'm glad you brought up an obscure movie that I've actually seen. That's fun.
I'm relieved someone's seen it too, because every now and then I have like the Danny scenario where it's like, did I dream this or is it really a movie?
Mandela effect. Mandela effect.
Real quickly, I'm going to bring up the one from earlier I was telling Tug about. The day I was flipping through Anthology movies and I discovered this one. What was the name of it? Tales from Halloween or something?
Yeah, Tales from Halloween with Andre.
And it's got Adrienne Barbeau. And it's like her character in The Fog reading. It starts out with her in a radio station talking, and it's like her telling stories, and it's an anthology movie. And I just discovered it today. I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but it's on my to watch list.
It's on mine too now because I'd never heard of it.
DJ Anubis wanted me to. He was doing a panel show on it, and wanted me to join him. I'm like, I'm sorry, I haven't seen it, so I need to watch it too.
You are aware of it.
Is that from 2015 or the Tales of
Trivia?
Yeah,
It's actually on my content channel. In what's what I'm looking for? In the spirit, in honor of my anniversary, I went through and I dug out trivia questions about my content. So that might put you behind the 8 ball, but we'll have fun either way. And by the way, if you're very lucky, Damien, tonight I have a top 10 list of the best Canadian themed dad jokes.
Oh,
So, and I'll leave you to let me know if they're acceptable or not.
What time's your show again? What time?
7:30.
Okay. But ironically, right at the time you're supposed to go live around 7:00, I'm supposed to get hit with this monster storm. The one that did all that damage is supposed to be here tonight at 7:00.
It's supposed to be hitting here about that same time too. So hopefully,
it's this big streak of storms coming across the country. And it's already it's only like 2:00 in the afternoon, and it's already starting to look like nighttime out here.
Oh God!
Yeah, it hit through here not too long ago, and I can't really go anywhere because the streets outside my subdivision are flooded, and I've discovered I have a leak in my bathroom, so that's always fun.
Oh, fun!
I have to fix my roof, my ceiling, actually.
Oh, commiserations!
It's like it's dripping through the vent, like the bathroom vent, and it's like leaving water stains on the ceiling.
Yeah,
so
that was a place. There was a place up in Kentucky got hit with a tornado, almost 500 yards wide, and it ran for almost 30 miles straight on the ground. Luckily, it was in a rural, scarcely populated area, and mostly just killed trees.
Those poor trees.
Yeah, that's bad.
But there's quite a lot of houses and stuff took out. I've seen some pictures from down your way, Tug, in Missouri that were pretty bad.
There's some places like pretty close to where I live that got hit really bad, and I've seen houses destroyed and all that stuff.
Was destroyed.
I'm very grateful to have not had that happen to my house. So
that storm that came through last weekend, or was it Monday? I can't remember through here, but it actually flooded out most of Pensacola State College's parking lots and all of Airport Boulevard and the mall around it and everything. It was crazy. There were cars floating down 9th Avenue and Airport at one point. So,
oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're in Pensacola, right?
Yeah. That's on the plateau at the top of the hill. So it's like that water all drained away pretty quickly eventually, but still, I had people calling me up asking me, is Carpenter's Creek, overflowing? There's flooding everywhere. I'm like, no, it's still in its banks. It's fine, but because Carpenter's Creek is right there in my backyard, and it usually comes up over the bank into the yard.
Is the weather.
Huh?
I don't know why. When I was young, I didn't care what the weather was. Now that I'm old, I watch it up and worry about it.
Yeah, that's because it could damage your property. So it's things to worry about, you know? So anyway, but enough about the weather.
I'm not worried about my property. I'm not worried about my property.
We're talking about movies here.
I'm worried about me getting damaged.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true.
As Samuel Clemens said, everyone's talking about the weather, but nobody's doing anything about it. Of course, we are, aren't we?
Well, now in Superman 3, they had that weather satellite. They were doing something about it, but you know.
Yeah, that's why I'm being glib. Or are they?
Or are they?
I could bring up the whole thing called Heart, but I'm not going to do that because they'll probably shut the stream down.
Yeah.
What, you don't like Amy Wilson? What?
Yeah,
I was going to say someone had to get that.
I thought it took me a second, but I got it.
I'm going to go crazy on you.
Crazy on you.
Harp. Harp.
Oh, Harp.
It looks like I'm only going to have one more chance. So what do I pick? I have so many that I wanted to talk about.
I left my harp.
Well, since Thrash is here, I will actually talk about VHS 2. Not 1, but 2. The VHS movies are, again, pretty recent, from like 2012 or something. And there's like 50 of them. I've only seen the first 2. I have not seen all of them. The first one has its moments, but the second one is actually the really good one. And these movies are basically, the framing story is silliness about like they break into somebody's house and there's these VHS tapes everywhere and they have to like put them in and watch them on these old VCRs and old CRT TVs, and they like drive them insane because there's all this weird supernatural stuff going on. But each tape is different, and they're all like found footage horror movies, little how found footage horror movies. And I like found footage. I know it's not for everybody. I know some people hate it. I don't. I love them. VHS 2 has a lot of, like, VHS 2 is one of those anthology movies where almost every single one of them is good. What are you laughing at now?
He noticed I froze.
Oh. I thought you were laughing about Geostorm. Anyway, the segment I really wanted to talk about, because Thrash is here, is you got a guy on a bike, and he basically puts a GoPro on a helmet, right? And you're seeing everything from his point of view. And he's going down this mountain trail, and everything seems normal. And then all of a sudden, he's in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, and he gets bit, and he becomes a zombie. So you get like a zombie apocalypse from the point of view of the zombie. Oh. And it's actually very clever and very well shot. And it's classic George Romero type zombies, slow walking, but full blood and guts all over the place. But it's so good. It's so well done, and it's so clever. I don't want to spoil what it does to the story, but it's very cool. It's not the best story in the movie. The best one is actually about like these kids who go into a cult with like body cameras attached to them. It's like an old, like weird Indonesian death cult, basically. It's kind of like Jim Jones. They go in there to interview the cult leader. And then they find themselves in the middle of like, mass suicide. But it keeps going. There's more to it than that. Like the one girl in the group is pregnant, you find out halfway through. And the cult is somehow using that to give birth to the Antichrist beast thing. And it's all very scary.
Come up with a big old horn in its head and stuff.
Yeah. That's the one downside is when you actually see the monster at the very end, it kind of lets down the whole thing because it's so goofy.
That down ain't the word.
Everything up to that point is really good, but that last shot, it's so stupid looking. But anyway, VHS 2, if you haven't seen any of the VHS movies and you like found footage, I highly recommend it. You don't have to see the first one to make sense. It's just like Creepshow. You don't have to see the first one to see the second one. It's just an anthology. They're very cool. I like it a lot. I will say the very last one with the alien abduction is kind of weak, but the rest of them are good.
Oh, that was the best one.
I haven't seen it. I'm going to have to check it out because it sounds great. There was a Masters of Horror. About 15 years ago? The Master of Horror series that came out. There was one story. It was about a spoiler alert. I should mention that at this point. There was about a girl in a zombie apocalypse that's trying to make it back to her friends, and the payoff at the end is she actually was a zombie.
Right.
But you're still watching it through her point of view. So I love that premise, and I'm sure the other two were great. I mean, I'm never one to actually let a special effects letdown ruin a good story. I mean, remember we were talking about when they did the thing at the door on a night gallery. I mean, they were, the thing was a super letdown, but it's still a great story, you know. So I'm gonna have to check it out.
I highly recommend it. And I did mention the first skit, which is like a guy gets a camera placed in his eye after a car accident, like he lost his eye, so they put like a camera in his eye. So you're watching this whole thing like through his eye, but because of this weird camera technology, he starts to see ghosts and stuff. And there's an old Japanese movie, I can't remember what it's called, that has a very similar concept where you suddenly start to see ghosts, and it's very cool. It's fun. And it's Adam Wingard, if you know who that is. He's the guy who directed that segment. It's really good. But like I said, the standout one is the cult. I think the cult one is the most intense, but that last 5-second shot is so stupid.
Thanks for reminding me about that movie. I've seen it a long time ago. I've only seen it once, but I remember it because of that stupid looking Satan thing with the horn. I thought it was the stupidest thing I ever saw in my life. That's the only reason I remember that movie at all.
But again, I really wanted to bring it up just because of the first person perspective of a zombie. Very cleverly done. And again, it answers that found footage question of why do they keep filming? He keeps filming because he's a zombie. He can't turn it off. It's strapped to his head. Anyway. Okay, funny. Danny, you get a second shot.
A second shot? Let me get a prop out. I love anthology shows, and I love anthology movies if they're done good. Unfortunately, very few of them are done good. One of the things done good was Twilight Zone, the movie, because it comes directly from original comic book series. And when you're talking about Twilight Zone, the movie, you have to talk about the airplane thing and the thing on the wing, because it's been done twice greatly. It's been done once on television with William Shatner in the original anthology series, The Twilight Zone, and probably the best episode of The Twilight Zone ever. And it was also redone in the movie and done awesomely. So do you not agree that of all the anthology things in the Twilight Zone series, that was the best?
No, and I agree. I think that one was
the other stories, unfortunately, didn't live up to.
I mean, I liked them. I like the kick the can segment, the Spielberg one.
Yeah.
The one with the kid, it's not as good as the episode that's based on the same story, but it's still fun, and I like Kevin McCarthy a lot. But no, like the Nightmare at 40,000 feet or whatever it's called is the best segment for sure. And like I said last time, it was the way the show handled it and the way the movie handled it are two very different things. Like they're kind of like different styles of the same story. You can't like replicate the William Shatner performance. So you put in John Lithgow and you have him play it completely differently. Instead of having a guy in an Eskimo suit be the gremlin, you have like something really gross and slimy, they just change it up enough that it's different, but also very, very well done.
Like I said, the movie version was the modern take, the modern updated version, which they did in a rare case remake something better than the original somewhat. And I do say the last thing I'll say about it, the thumbs up goes to Dan Aykroyd, who kind of stole it a little bit. He was in stole the movie. You want to see something really scary?
Absolutely. That haunted me as a child.
That's the part of the movie people remember more than anything else.
Yeah, you could just say that line and everybody knows exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what makes that especially and probably the number 2 favorite of mine anthology movies ever.
No, he really did literally steal the movie with that one shtick.
Yeah.
He really did. And tip of the hat to Burgess Meredith, who, by the way, original series has the most appearances in any starring role. Huge shoes to fill. He has to do the narration, something that is like iconically only done by Rod Sterling. And he does it, and he makes it his own. And I thought his just accepting that role, I thought he deserved a pat on the back for that.
He was good.
I'm just going through the comments. Sorry. Talk amongst yourselves.
I always
Talk
thought it was a
amongst
great
yourself.
movie. I haven't seen it in years and years and years though, and I need to rewatch it.
Over the last 4 years, I've been reviewing a bunch of these comic books called The Witching Hour. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Witching Hour series of comic books from the 40s and 50s. It's a real old comic book series, and you'd be surprised how many stories in the Witching Hour comic books simulate stuff you see in Night Gallery or the Twilight Zone episodes.
Wow.
And I've often wondered as I read through these Witching Hours, is maybe somebody didn't steal a few ideas from these old comic books. And you can see
they borrowed the ideas.
One thing I always wondered is what would have happened if Albert Brooks had said, "No, I'd prefer to not see something scary." Would he have just driven on to the next town?
Just kept singing the Midnight Special. You know?
Yeah, really.
It's like that old Japanese urban legend about the beautiful woman wearing the mask. And she says, "Do you think I'm pretty?" And I certainly do. And she removes it. It's like, now, what do you think? If a Japanese girl, with or without a mask, ever said to me, "Do you think I'm pretty?" I would say, "I don't know. What do you think?" You tell me, do you think you're pretty? Like, oh, okay. Have a nice day.
Move along now. Move along.
Yeah, moving on.
Nothing to see here.
Well, it's like Bloody Mary. If you don't say Bloody Mary into the mirror, you can't get attacked by Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Don't invite fate. She comes over enough as it is.
Do you want to see something really scary?
No, thank you.
Not really.
No, not really. Not today.
Yeah,
I'm driving the car. I don't need to see anything scary right now.
You sure? Yes, I'm quite certain. Thank
Quite
you.
positive. Yes. Leave me alone.
Oh, darn.
Okay, Damien, what do you got?
All right. Since this is probably going to be my last go here, I'm going to give you guys the option of one of two here. I'm just going to hold them up. So, which one?
Oh, right.
Ooh, agony of choice.
Well,
and this is
what's
the
the choice here? We're picking which one's worse than the other, or are we picking
well, no. Which would you rather me talk about?
I would rather talk about Cloud Atlas. Honestly.
Okay.
We're going to talk about anything but them two movies.
Snap.
You must be one of the people that don't like Cloud Atlas.
I'm not real fond of either one of them.
Well, Sin City's anyway.
Sin City.
I love
Okay,
the adaptation in Sin City, but we'll talk about that another time. The way they shot it and so on and so forth. It's like reading a graphic novel on film. You know, it's just
a Frank Miller graphic novel, which is
exactly,
even better.
Yeah. But as far as
his
so back
so bad it made Pons freeze up again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it for now. I'll come back in if I have time for one more.
Okay. So Cloud Atlas, I think is a very, very underrated movie because a lot of people just don't understand it. They break up the story so much that you have to actually really pay attention. It's almost a 3-hour movie, you know? So it's hard to keep up with what's going on, and you almost have to watch the movie 3, even 4 times to really get what's going on.
Yeah, like I'm going to sit through that piece of crap 3 or 4 times.
Well, I mean,
Andy, be nice.
After you've seen it the 3rd time, it's not a piece of crap anymore.
After you see it the 3rd time, it'll probably turn into Titanic, and you'd wish everybody was dead.
Well, if it turned into the Titanic, then yeah, I would wish everybody was dead because I think that's a crappy movie. But anyway, so it's a movie that, you know, is basically the concept of the reincarnation of a soul, if you will. You know, it doesn't have to be reincarnation; it could be whatever you want to call it. I don't know, but over time and how that person kind of changes the future in and of itself, kind of thing, and what their choices and what they do lead to in the end. But it also, you know, they reuse the same actors over and over again, so you actually get to see like the different actors playing different characters throughout time too, which is a pretty neat thing.
Even like different ethnicities and stuff.
Yeah, even different ethnicities and sexes. Even there's a couple that play women, there's a couple men that play women, and a couple of women that play men. So at some point in the movie. So yeah, it's just I think it's a really neat movie about, just completely different styles at different times. They're completely different stories, all that are all encapsulated in and of themselves, but are linked to each other through this one birthmark or a small plot device that follows from one segment to another usually. And it's usually, this one's linked to that one, and then that one is linked to this one by another character, and so on and so forth. So you kind of have to follow all that. I found what was interesting was the button on the main character's vest or suit in the very early episode is also in the very last one. So he finds the main character finds the button. Anyway, it's like from the beginning and the end of the movie. But so you just have these different segments that are they're what, 2 segments were directed by one director, and then, or 3 segments were one director and 3 were another. I can't remember exactly. But they're all different,
right?
Yeah, but there was another director in there too that directed. Okay. There's actually 3 directors. There's
usually with anthologies, that's
Tom Tykwer is the other director. The Wachowskis are the director of 3 of them, and then Tykwer is the director of the other. So
yeah, I remember the day I watched that movie, the batteries in the remote died, and I couldn't fast forward, and I felt like poking my eyes out with ice picks by the end of it.
Oh, Danny!
I am very sorry to hear that, Dan.
But them stole one of the things I was going to say. It reminds me of The Fountain too. They are very similar movies.
Yeah, I have not seen that, and I need to.
You should definitely see The Fountain. You would love.
Okay.
And it's another one of those movies you have to watch it a couple times to even understand what the hell's going on.
If you have to watch it a couple of times to get it, it probably isn't a good movie.
I disagree, but
I disagree. That usually means that there's a deeper message and a deeper meaning that has to be.
The only movie that I ever had to watch twice to really get it was the one where Bruce Willis turned out to be dead at the end, and I didn't get it the first time for some reason.
Oh yes, Die Hard.
The
I remember.
Sixth Sense,
But also the Cloud Atlas is kind of like it's the story that the Illustrated Man was trying to tell, like the movie version of the Illustrated Man. It's kind of what that was going for, but completely failed at. Whereas Cloud Atlas actually succeeds in tying it all together the way the Illustrated Man did. So
I do think that they broke up the story a little bit more than they could have, but at the same time, when you look at where they transition from one segment to another, there's a reason for it. There's a tie there somehow. It's either the lesson or this relates to that or somehow linked to that kind of thing. So it was a just neat the way they wove the whole thing together. And I did like how every one of the stories in and of itself was like a completely different genre of story almost.
Yes.
So yeah, you had like the old mid 1800s colonial kind of story about being on a ship and slavery and standing up against the establishment, and then you go into who was it, the Cloud Atlas Sextet? What was the guy's name anyway? The guy writing the symphony, and that was a love story, but at the same time kind of a story of the creation of this piece of music that is then played throughout the rest of the movie in different parts. But and I mean, it was interesting the way they went through all these different genres. Oh, and this one from the 70s was like a crime, almost like a crime novel or crime or like a like a 70s, it was almost like a buddy cop story, but it was like a buddy reporter story kind of thing, and then
All President's Men kind of thing.
Yeah. And into the 2012 with The Writer, it's a comedy, basically that whole one's basically a comedy of errors and whatnot, and but that was a completely different feel to it than the rest. And going on into the future with Somni 451 or whatever her name was it 451 anyway?
Yep, you were correct.
Yeah.
Somni 451.
Yep. Okay.
How do you remember that?
I don't. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page.
Anyway, yeah, we're all doing the same thing here. We got on the other monitor, you know.
I'm trying not to cheat. I've got phones all around me, but none of them
Yeah.
turned on. I'm trying to do straight.
There's no point. I'll never beat Indy, so why bother?
And that was and the Somni 451 thing was all like a, you know, sci-fi, you know, future kind of thing, you know, but it's kind of like a authoritarian future. But it was neat. It had some neat technology ideas in there and whatnot, and executions of things, and it was a very action filled, you know, kind of like, you know, badass hero kind of thing going on. You know, followed that by the post apocalyptic, you know, Hawaii or wherever that was supposed to be. I think it was, it's Hawaii.
Yeah, I think it's Hawaii.
It was Hawaii.
Yeah.
In fact, the bad tribe is called the Kona tribe, which I thought was cute.
Yep. There you go.
And the best part about that is they actually weren't Polynesian. They were the Caucasian imperialists who had sort of reverted to a tribal society, but still were the imperialists, which I thought was a brilliant sort of message. I'm not sure if that message was intended or not. I'd like to think that it was, because it's such a brilliant message.
I think that it was intended, yeah. And the interesting tie together between the Somni story and the post-apocalyptic Hawaii was that's where Somni went to do her message. Was she went to that station that they broadcast from? That was where she went.
I thought you meant the sort of Soylent Green subplot in the Somni story.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah.
And then the Kona are cannibals, you know. It's
that's an interesting that's an interesting tie together right there. Yeah.
I mean, but I feel like I have to watch it again now. I feel like I need to watch it again.
Yeah, there's lots of little plot devices.
You're stressed by memory.
I'm sorry to you know, bother you so much there, Dan. You know.
Now I got to remember things, man.
One of the greatest episodes of Star Trek TOS was the one with the Yangs and the comms. And one of the main plot devices in that, and they said, well, if society and Western civilization broke down, the Caucasians would sort of relearn the forms of life of the indigenous. And it says, oh, wouldn't that be nice? And in the Kona section of Cloud Atlas, it says, not necessarily.
No.
Leave it to them to find a way of making it horrible.
Yeah. They become barbaric and start eating each other. That's great.
Yes,
yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that.
So the imperialists are still living off the indigenous. So what else
I found was weird was the people that were like, you know, you have a functioning society and a functioning village there in this dystopian future where people know how to farm and hunt and gather and so on and so forth. And then this other group just decides that they want to go and it's not a big group, or at least it doesn't look like it. They want to go and just eat people. You know, it's like, can't you guys just like, you know, take off the makeup and go live with the villagers and, you know, farm some sheep or something? I mean, you know, I'm sorry, lamb's pretty good. I don't know if anybody else is having, but I don't know how people taste, but you know, I would think that the livestock would be a better option, but that's just my take on that. But anyway, and of course you need your vegetables too.
Well, of course.
How do you follow that, Thrash? Save us.
Well, it's funny. You see that sort of subplot a lot in science fiction, but also in sociology. I remember years ago when I was in college, when I was learning pre-Modern World Civ, there were a lot of agricultural communities which pre-existed the agricultural revolution. But what happened was the nomadic tribes came in and wiped them all out. But after doing so, they incorporated a lot of their techniques, and they made it an eclectic. And that's when you had the second agricultural revolution, which is where you see like the that place in Sumeria, or in Pakistan, the Indus Valley. But it's this second age of civilization. But they always leave out the fact that they all started out by wiping out the first layer. Yeah. And something tells me whoever wrote that segment in Cloud Atlas knew that.
Gotcha. You know? Good point. That's a good point. Yeah. Too bad they were all dying from radiation poisoning too. But, you know.
Well, there's that as well.
Yeah. So it's after the fall, as they said at the beginning of that segment. So I guess there was a world war or something. They never really explained it. So But
those are the best kind.
Yeah,
like in the road, you're never really sure what happens in the road.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've always wondered that too.
A nuclear war, maybe it was a meteorite.
Could have been, but it was radio. The thing that is probably something to do with societal collapse. Maybe there was a nuclear war because they're talking about radiation poisoning. Everybody's got it, basically. Everybody's dying from it. So, and then some people have the plague. The people from what are they? The Prussians or whatever he calls them. The people that have the technology, where Halle Berry came from there. They have the plague, whereas I guess the people on the island don't. So, I mean, we don't know. It could have been maybe like they had some sort of worldwide power reactor and it blew up and spread radiation everywhere. Or, maybe society collapsed and nobody took care of the nuclear reactors and they all leaked and now there's radiation everywhere. So we don't really know. But
I think sometimes with stories like that, the more you explain, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
So anytime a zombie movie is tried to explain a zombie outbreak, it's never
either way. You get radiation. If a meteor comes crashing down, it's going to blow up nuclear power plants, and you're going to get radiation. Yeah, and a good example of nature causing nuclear accidents is that whole Fukushima earthquake tidal wave thing that come in, that tsunami that hit the power plant.
Yeah, and then they had to dump it into some of the wastewater into the ocean, and now the fish are radioactive. And,
but also, if a meteor hits, you're going to get radiation, even if it doesn't hit a nuclear power plant. I mean, the reason we know about the K2 boundaries because of the layer of iridium.
Yeah, true. Because there's a lot of radioactive elements on asteroids. So,
right.
Yeah. In fact, that's why the Earth's core is still hot. Because we got bombarded by asteroids that have a lot of uranium in them. So
Thrash may be having some problems.
Radiation.
Yeah, he's got radiation poisoning. Yep.
Oh, poor guy.
I told him not to keep that demon core in his bedroom.
Well, he doesn't listen, So.
I told him not to make fun of the Blame-O Heart, but he wouldn't listen.
Anyway, that's all I got on Cloud Atlas. Good movie, underrated. You should watch it. So.
I never watched it again. I want to piece it together again.
It's been a few years since I watched it. I meant to watch it again because I knew you were going to bring it up, but I didn't get around to it.
That's all good.
So we have time for one more. Thrash and Tracy, you want to fight it out? You want to?
I know. Let Thrash go. He knows a lot more, and I'm learning a lot.
Thank you. I owe you one, Tracy. I'll let you go out of turn next time, even though it's actually your turn. But you know what I mean.
No, come on.
I'm gonna pick and I've already frozen again, but I'm gonna run with it as is because we're in the home stretch. Yeah. I'm gonna go with possibly the weakest anthology of all time. It's an anthology. Usually they have 3 or 4 stories. Some have as little as 2. This is an anthology of 1, and it's Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny. Possibly one of the worst movies ever made.
What the heck?
Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny. It's actually done by MST3K, and their rendition of it is a riot.
1972, huh?
I saw this on the big screen during one of their simulcasts, where they broadcast out of Tennessee and broadcast all over the country. I saw them do this one live. What it is this guy, Mose, I think his name was, he made these very short, low budget / no budget kids shorts, I think for local TV, and they were dreadful, usually with local actors. And what he did was he decided he was going to try to make a Christmas movie. So what he did was he shot all this footage. What happens is Santa Claus is delivering toys, and somewhere over Florida, the reindeer break free and go home, so he's stuck there. And some local children try to help him. So there's this whole thing about Santa Claus needing help. And when they become frustrated, he tells them the story of courage and perseverance with Jack and the Beanstalk. Now, the Jack and the Beanstalk short is most of the characters aren't even wearing costumes. They're just wearing this weird floral 70s clothes. It's downright surreal. But there's this crazy story, which wasn't part of the narrative, about Jack and the Beanstalk. They come in, and what happens is you find out in a theme park a couple towns over, and there actually was a theme park. I think my dad took me there when I was a kid. I have vague recollections of this place in Florida. But one of the characters is the Ice Cream Bunny, and he rides in this like 1920s fire truck, and he rescues Santa Claus, and they all live happily ever after. Now, the one thing that almost makes this an actual anthology is there's two versions. One actually, I guess there was the theatrical release where they actually, this guy had also made a rendition of Thumbelina. So there's two renditions out there, one with Thumbelina and one with Jack and the Beanstalk. But again, it feels like a very, very, very low budget anthology. The only real difference being is it's an anthology where the framing device only frames one story. And I thought that in of itself makes it worth discussing. And Dan, thank you for pulling that out of your hat. I've never been more impressed.
Yeah, I didn't exactly pull it out of my hat, but I pulled it out of somewhere.
I can only imagine. I know where it should have come from.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a chance,
you pick one I have never seen. And if anybody wants to see that movie you were talking about, I just shared it on my community post, and it's in my cool movies playlist.
Oh, awesome!
All right.
And again, the MST3K version is an absolute riot. It's really funny.
And I thought I'd seen all the MST3000 movies, but I guess I missed that one.
It's riff tracks.
It was riff tracks. I should have mentioned that part.
Basically the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, close enough.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it either. That's news to me.
Yep.
Now I'll look at it.
But it does sound absolutely dreadful.
It sounds terrible. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've actually gone over an hour and a half. So on that note, I think we're gonna call it.
He says that like it's a bad thing.
Thrash. I mean, you've already mentioned it, but go ahead and plug your stuff again tonight.
Oh yes, tonight I'm having my normal 7:30 live chat. All are welcome. Like I say, there'll be trivia and maybe some dad jokes.
All children are welcome in the
Yes,
light.
all are welcome.
You can't say that and not make me think of Poltergeist.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. Step toward the light.
Tracy, you're not working on anything, right? You need to rest.
Well, I need my rest first, but I am working on something.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna do it live, so don't count me out, guys. I just have been so slow with my channel.
Totally fine.
Don't worry, Tracy. Break a leg. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Did you break it or did you just strain it or sprain it?
She broke her ankle.
Oh, she broke it. Oh man.
In 2 spots.
Oof.
I went for it all. When I do something, I do it good, man.
Yeah, you go all the way. That's how you do it.
Me and Tracy must be psychically linked. She broke her ankle the same day I twisted mine real bad, and I was hopping for 36 hours.
Oof.
That's terrible.
No, that happens to me all the time. I'm old.
Well, old man, you got anything to plug?
You're older than me.
I guess I'll be on with Sarah, my flock, and Snartness Thursday nights, like always.
Yep.
Next week, I hope me and Thrash are going to get together and come up with a really cool subject to talk about, but we ain't that far along yet.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I thought I would plug a little bit by showing this really cool book I got. One of my subscribers.
I know that writer.
By this guy named E. McGill, and I hear it's real good. I'm going to start reading it as soon as I finish this UFO piece of stuff I'm reading.
Yeah, read something really, really terrible. That way, my book seems even better.
Rob, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, who has these 2 books called True Cryptid Encounters about Bigfoot and lake monsters and all kind of horrible things that go bump in the night. And it's kind of fits into today's show. That's why I got them, because they're each filled with different stories. Anthology books filled with different stories of cryptid horror from my friend Bigfoot Michigan Rob.
Cool.
And I think that about covers everything I got going on, which is very little.
Okay, and let's see, for my channel, stick around for half an hour and I'll be dropping a review of the Quatermass Experiment, which I have been wanting to talk about for so long. So there's that. And yeah, I'll be back next week. And like Danny, I'll probably be on Sarah and Snark stream on Thursday. I'm kind of 50-50. Sometimes I make it, sometimes I don't. Thursdays are hard.
Well, I'm always on Brainbenders Banners on Saturday night. That's the home show.
That's the one I'm always on too. I'm always on that one.
Yeah, me too.
Unless the storm blows me away, I will be there.
Right. But otherwise, I'll see you in Chad at Thrash's show tonight. Again, that's 7:30 Eastern.
Thrash
And do you know who's going to be on with you next week, Eric?
No, I haven't figured that out yet. I don't even know what the subject's going to be. So
Wow.
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't planned that far ahead yet. I'll let you know. I think Thrash wanted to keep going with anthologies. I still have some I can talk about.
Anthology can we talk about?
I have some more.
I have more.
I'm sure you do.
So, Tug, I'm good either way. If you want to do part 3 on Anthology, I'm in. If you want to do something else, I am also in.
I'll figure it out. I'll let you know.
Awesome.
I haven't decided.
And we'll see you guys tonight.
Yep. See you tonight.
Take
Let me hit the outro
Happy
button.
trails!
Thank you and good night.